Hello and welcome back, dear chess friends. Today we are playing the Basel chess tournament. Tournament just begins. The first round already finished. I won the game, and here in front of you we're gonna check the game between international masters from Switzerland. His rating is very low. He's a very old guy. That's why he has a very low rating. He dropped a lot, but he's also still a good player. So the game started with the move knight f3. I was white. And now he played a move f5. So this is the Dutch variation, of course. Now I was thinking, should I maybe play a tricky line to surprise him with h3 and g4? That's interesting, but I decided to play just normally d4. There is no need to risk from the beginning of the opening. Just play normal game. Knight f6. And now I played maybe one sideline, bishop g5. Usually people are playing knight to c3 with bishop g5. With a similar idea, they want to push e4 like I did in the game. I did it immediately just because maybe I want to provoke something from him, such a knight e4 here to see what he will do. Then he played move e6. I was expecting the move g6, honestly, but he played e6. So knight to c3. And after knight to c3, I'm intending to push or capture with e4 move. It's not like the best move according to the book, but you know, it's normal move. Like you see that evaluation is always fine for white here. Now my opponent played bishop e7, so instead of that I think he should push d5. That was better option, just because now my whole point is to take and push e4 myself. So this is really tricky, because if my opponent allows me to enter something like this, and if he castles there, that can be really tricky. Queen e2 is coming, together with bishop d3, castles, h4 and h7. You know, Greek gives ideas could arise in future. It's a lot of pressure on the king side, so that's why my opponent played something dubious. He pushed d5, which increases my advantage. Now I take, and now there is a hole on e5. I decided to immediately take control of that. Apparently the computer, the engine says it's a mistake, but I don't think it's a mistake, because I'm centralizing my knight, pushing f4. The evaluation is the same. So my next idea is just to go castle fast and use my outpost for the knight. On the other side, this knight cannot ever come to e4. He needs a lot of moves for that. So I honestly like this move, and this is really good practical move, because my opponent did castles, and now my whole point was knight takes d5. And for example, for this move, chesscoach gives it's a brilliancy. I also don't think that this is a brilliancy. This is very logical sacrifice, because if they take it, it's very obvious. We have bishop c4 and we win the game on the spot. My opponent played the move rook e8. That's why. And what's the thing now? If we play something like f4, which looks very logical, this is apparently losing, because queen takes d5 now works. Because of bishop c4, they have intermezzo move, which is coming with check. If my king is castled, this idea won't work. But just because my king is in the center, however I take now, they take back, and even if I take here, black is good, because he will play knight c6, he will play bishop e6, he will put a rook into the game, and my two rooks are not enough to compensate two minor pieces. I mean one rook, because also my king is in the center and black is absolutely fine. So I saw this trick from my opponent. Maybe he wanted to do something like this. So that's why I didn't play move f4. f4 is a very logical move. So here I played immediately move bishop c4, which is, for example, legend says it's inaccuracy, but you know, I mean, this is a very logical one. I want to do something on this diagonal, protecting my knight. So bishop e6 is on the way. This is a great move. It's now they want to take here on d5, and now I played queen h5. So okay, this is brilliancy, because it's kind of only move for white that keeps equality for some reason. But if you take a practical point of view over this position, white is doing awesome, right? White needs to be more precise, because by the end of the day, the worst scenario for white will be the, you know, dead symmetrical equal position, which actually arises later. In meanwhile, if black blunders something, it's over. For example, now instead of let's say playing knight c6, which is the only move for black to keep c equality now. If they play anything else, my point of queen h5 is anyway take, and if queen takes, I'm targeting the rook. And if g6 happens, this is something I wanted to happen. Now by taking this bishop, queen takes back, my knight is not hanging from the pawn on f6, as you see. So I can now bring my queen somewhere back. The e2 is actually only square because I wanted to protect my bishop. I need to keep eye that this knight is always pinned. So if I take earlier, the problem is just take back with a pawn. And if I take now here, rook takes back, and I'm losing the knight. It's pinned. It doesn't matter that the pawn structure is ruined. I don't have enough material to follow up the game. So that's why queen h5 is the best move. And now I'm threatening to take, because queen cannot capture because of queen takes e8. I just want to show you some. Let's say they play c6. This is a blunder, of course. And if queen takes, I have queen takes e8. That's almost over. G takes f6 looks like it's working the same, but unfortunately not, because now I got the move queen f7 and I'm gonna win the whole rook. They're gonna take my knight later, but I'm just much better in material. So that's why queen h5, that's the explanation of queen h5, and the only move is knight c6, because knight e7 is the similar story. Here we just take, and if they take back with knight, we take the bishop. If they take back with rook, we have again queen f7. So they have to take back with queen, but now it's very different, because in this moment, because knight is here, after capture, let's say capture, I think we got something like f4 here, if I'm not mistaken, yes. And now our knight is protected. In case of knight c6, knight will always target d4. So after this forcing moves arises on the board, now the problem is that knight is targeting d4, but when the knight is on d7, he's only targeting e5. So that's the benefit of developing the knight more towards center. So I castled. That's my only move, because now if I do move f4, my opponent will just take this one here, if I'm not mistaken. And after I castle, they have a very good intermezzo g6, which I saw. Apparently now, if I move my queen even to protect this pawn, after check, king b1 and knight takes f4. Wait, what? Why is this? Why is this? Oh, because there is knight e7. Oh my god, I thought this is winning for black, because they're gonna just grab the pawn. But okay, let's say they don't need to take here. Okay, there is a counter threat, but they can do anything else. Like they can maybe play rook to b6. My queen is off the game, really. I'm not having the good queen. Their rook will come to the game, and maybe after playing something to avoid knight to d7, they can take on f4. And knight is good here, even though they can bring it back, even though they can bring knight c6. So after that, black is fine. So that's why I don't want to play f4 at all. I kept my pawn on f2. I went castles. This is my priority. Knight takes here, pawn takes, and now rook takes. This surprised me. I thought that my opponent will take with queen. This is more active. I bring the other rook to the game, and now the only thing that I was scared of is if my opponent simplify completely with this idea. The problem is now that I can lose my pawn on a2 for some compensation, but honestly compensation is not enough, because after queen f3, black is even better. Queen takes a2 is coming, and if I take on b7, I can resign, because queen check, king d2, and rook d8 is coming with check. I'm losing my rook on e1, and that's over. So here in this position, I honestly don't know what I would do. I'm already worse, as you see. I cannot take here because of the same story later on. So in this case, definitely I would take. King will take back. I will try some rook e5. They will play king f6. I will play rook to d5. They can play here. I will move my rook to d3. This is all something I calculated before. The reason why, because my rook is better from distance, and maybe I can do something to this pawns here and these pawns here. But honestly, this is all hopeless. Of course, white is having some, interesting idea here to press more, but this is just a draw. I can't do anything, even if I attack these pawns and they even push pawns. So this is something what they should do, and in this case I said, okay, draw is a draw, never mind, first round. I will see what is my mistake, but my opponent didn't went for that. This surprised me. He wanted to play, obviously, maybe for a win or something. He played rook f8, which actually allows me to bring my queen back, which I like it, because now I'm targeting on b7, and just give me 1 second, I need to put my laptop on charger. Okay, yeah, now we are good. So queen to f3 is the idea of targeting the b7, but on the other point, I wanted maybe to take on e5 and then queen f3, but I like it this most because if the queen comes on e5, queen can be actually more active on e5. I don't know. So that's why I bring it immediately. I want to avoid g6 tempo. But honestly, on the one side that I wanted to avoid g6 with tempo, I also wanted to make them play this move. The reason why is because it's opening more king. And more I keep the pieces on the board, more it's going to be harder for the king to find a safety. So my opponent played rook b5, which I kind of expected because I saw in him that he wants to play for a win, and this is something I like because he's making more weaknesses and he's putting the pieces on the wrong spots, because this rook belongs somewhere down there, not here. What the rook is doing here on b5? It's completely wrong square for the rook. I understand that, and I wanted now to play on that bad rook. And now he also played c6, which is I like. This is waste of time. There is no need to block this diagonal. Now I got a time, and I got a time to bring my rook to the game. My literal threat is to play rook to e7, which is not threatening the moment rook takes g7 because I don't want to sacrifice 2 rooks for the queen. The reason after that, what is the problem for black, is queen to g3, where they must play something like g6, and then queen to c7. I'm gonna have triple battery on the 7th rank, which is going to be unstoppable, and my opponent could arise in that moment. I was preparing that, but obviously my opponent played one tricky move, rook d8. The point is exchanges, so if I play here, they're gonna take, and then my attack is slower. So here I was calculating firstly queen h5, because if rook takes, there is queen to e8. The same thing you can achieve from queen e3, and if they take, queen e8 or queen e2. But I was having very nice conversation with me during the game, where I wasted a lot of time. Should I play this or this? And I didn't play queen h5 because I thought they have g6. But this is just funny because I have this move and now they can resign. So I saw this idea later in some other variations, but the problem is that I completely forgot in this moment the simplest thing. And that's why instead of queen h5, I played the move queen e3. Both moves have the same ideas, but this one is even having much better one because there is rook e8 coming in and they can't play g6. So literally I think maybe they should take. I play queen e8, queen f8, I take here. Now the threat is rook e8. The only way to save this, I think, is to play something like rook to d5. Now I think I would take the pawn on b7 or something, then collect the other one or this one. My king is safe, rook e7 is coming, and I'm winning the game. So this is actually something similar what I wanted to achieve from the move queen e3, but apparently this is not good as queen h5 because now I'm not threatening anything on e8. Okay, I'm threatening queen to e8, but a very big deal behind that is that now h6 is working solidly fine as a prophylaxis. Earlier on, after queen h5 and after h6, this is just losing because rook takes, queen takes, and now I have rook e8, and that's winning for white. So I was winning in this moment without even knowing that queen h5 is a winning move. I saw it, but I just, g6 was my problem, which is actually a bad move. I mean, that's in the moment. Also, we're entering time scramble, so I can understand myself that I missed this, h6, and now I decided to take. For some reason, I thought that I want to clear the board and play this endgame. I know this is a draw for sure. This is every almost rook endgame, which looks something similar like this. It's always a draw, but I'm, as you see, slightly better in this endgame, and I have more chances because my rook is going to be active. I'm placing my rook behind the pawn, so I'm not going on the rank, because if I play here, this is not that draw, because they're gonna play here, and if I do this check, they have this, and this is just that draw. I saw this, so that's why rook to b8. And after rook to b8, my opponent's rook is stuck. So if I push these pawns, I'm gonna make it uncomfortable. So that's why I traded the queens, because also these pawns are more up than back. Look at my pawn structure. My pawn structure is perfect for the rook endgame because I can still decide which pawn to push. I don't need to push every pawn, and I don't want to push every single pawn because I'm gonna create weaknesses. So after this move, pause the video and you can practice the rook endgames now. Try to find the best idea for white here. I did in the game, and I'm really proud of myself because I think I had like 10 minutes here, and I choose the right continuation. So b4 is the main thing here, what white should play. The reason why, because I want to push a4, move this rook out of the way. If they play rook to b6, rook will be completely stuck, and then later is just the moment and the story when this pawn will fall down. But instead of that, my opponent decided to play immediately rook e5, and now the reason why he did that is because if I take here, he will play here, I will take the pawn, he will take my pawn, I will push the pawn, they will take here, I'm gonna push more, and now apparently after take they push. I thought that they are faster with this. As you see, now I'm losing if I push this. For some reason I cannot play this, so maybe I should play rook to a4. Is this a move? No, this is also losing. What is the move? Rook a8 and then coming from behind. Yeah, maybe something like that, and then pushing. If king f7, now I should play maybe rook to a4. No, this is also losing. Wait, so king f7, what is the move here? Is it king d1, king e1? No, this is also losing. Wait, what's the move here? If I push, they're gonna... Oh! Wait. Should I push? Oh my god. And after this, rook check, king check, and this is the story. Oh my god. I didn't see that, honestly. Like, it was too far away from me. Also, I was 10 times scramble, and I was thinking that if we calculate just who is faster, he is faster, plus this is coming with checkmate. So, you know, I'm not supposed to see all this like in seconds. I mean, I'm not supposed. I actually want to, but it's not possible. So that's why I knew that this was a mistake, and if I calculate and have more time, I would definitely choose this option. But the problem is I play king d2, and now it's again drawish. But I just play this endgame. King to e6, a4, king to d5, king to d3, b6. And now I think that he played very, very badly this endgame. He was just blitzing out. The reason why is because of my time. And I was happy about that, because when I see that my opponent is playing on my time, and I see that he's not even thinking what he's playing, I was concentrated much more before we even enter this endgame to actually see what kind of ideas I can do. So my suggestion is to never play on your opponent's time. That's definitely something you shouldn't do in your games. The reason why is because your opponent is more focused than you. If you're blitzing out, he needs to play fastly, and he needs to think. Like, he doesn't have option. But you have time on the clock on the other side, and you're also blitzing out, but you are not intensively, let's say like that, intensively concentrated, focused for the game, because your opponent, you're thinking, let's flag him or something like that. So never do that. The big consequences is most probably lost game. So even though the engine says it's equal, my whole plan is, if we enter this endgame, this is just lost. I'm entering with my king, collecting everything, so rook exchange is now never possible. Also, something I wanted earlier is to provoke your pawns. So you have a lot of holes now. My rook can attack many different pawns. This couldn't be in the from the practical point of view. This will never be a draw. So I decided to protect my pawns. Now I finally make this move. Rook d7, king here, and rook d6. Now I can do this, but I decided firstly to avoid any problems with rook d2 and rook h2. So they play here. I put the rook on g6, firstly to move the king away. and then to play rook h8, which is apparently a bad move. The reason why, because I figured out later that my opponent even don't need to play this move, because he can play anything else, like a rook e6, let's say. The reason why it's because after this move, if I take, I will lose the game because of king g7. I saw this, but I saw it lately. My opponent didn't play this. He played h5, and this was a mistake, of course, because that's something I wanted. Rook h7. I saw that he's not even thinking, so I can also maybe play some tricks, you know, provoking him. a6 is very, very logical move, of course. And now after a5, which is apparently a mistake, I should play firstly rook c7. It's mistake because, of course, b5 is something my opponent won't play, and after king to b3 something I was planning to do. If he plays something like this, I will play rook to c7, collect all of these pawns, push, and that's it. Apparently there is a draw now where the rook d5 happens, and he was blitzing out this, and I was amazed that he found all these tricky drawish moves. Rook c7, but this is still not over. I'm still slightly comfortable in this endgame because my king is closer to center. So if I put my rook behind this pawn and extend this pawn, I can win, right? This is something I did, provoking him to come back, and now come to a7 because king on e6 is much closer, so let's put him on f6. Then they played rook a1, I played king to c5, they played king to e6, I just pushed c4. So in this moment, my opponent should just play rook a3 and just stepping back and forward, but he decided to push, and that's where the things start collapsing for them. The reason why, if they play something like rook a3 here, if I play here, they can also just wait, for example, rook a1, or wait, can they do something else? Maybe king f6 or something, or maybe, I don't know, like, I saw that from the computer that this move is a drawish, but as I see now, I don't know the reason. King f6 is bad move. What about this? Yeah, apparently king is 7, and now if I go here, they're gonna give me check. If I move back, they're gonna just come back. They will not push, because pushing is bad. Pushing is literally allowing me to play check, to kick them away. King to d7. Now I tried to play king to b5, but then I saw very lately that this move is a very tricky one. If I take, I am even losing the game. That's why Evolution Bar had a couple of seconds to realize it now. Why I'm losing? Simple endgame, where my king is bad, and they want to implement the last trick possible, king c6, and they are faster after collecting this pawn. They're gonna collect everything. You know, for 1 second I thought, okay, let's just take this pawn and finish in style, just one pawn up after rook exchange, but suddenly king c6. So I need to come back. I saw it on time. I'm in time scramble here, like I may be always around minute. Rook a1 back. Now I have to take. This is my only way to play for a win. Here I came back. Here I now tried to rotate my king. He wanted to make another trick. If I take to play rook a1, I went this way. I didn't play king c5. They went here, and now, of course, I'm not gonna take on a3 because rook g3, king b4. They're not gonna exchange the rooks, but they're gonna try to collect the other pawns later. So I decided to put my king towards center, of course. I'm not into this pawn here because this pawn will never progress when the rook is not behind him. So he take here, I'm going forward. He go here, I take here. For some reason, engine is still saying that this is a draw. For some reason. Because king is in time to get there or here. But this check is just a blunder because my king is sliding in, and even if he plays this move, I saw this is okay, just over. But draw somewhere there with so the game finished actually very quickly after that. I was just pushing this pawn, collect this one, and that's it. It's easy to convert. But here apparently king e7 was a drawish move, and now the thing is, if I go here, they will come here, and if I push, they have, I think, this check or something. Yeah, and if I take, now they're gonna hold. And the problem is, that I can never move my king from the G line. If I try something like rook to G4, they're gonna always play, I think here, no? Yeah, rook F1. If they come closer, like this, always a check. If I put my rook in front, they can always play, I don't know, maybe rook H1 or rook F1. Okay, no, rook H1 is actually losing, but maybe something from the side, like something like this. So yeah, if I push, I always have this check. Yeah, correctly. So the king actually doesn't have any square to hide, and this is theoretical draw, but this is still tricky to make a draw, yeah, especially if you are blitzing out and playing fast, or you're in the time scramble. All these rook end games are practically very different than theoretically. So knowing them theoretically is definitely different than knowing them practically. So that's why my opponent lost, because he saw check and he said, okay, let's check him, but check is here actually losing. And that's how I won. I moved my king there, cut the king off, start pushing, took the pawn. They tried to cut me off, but the problem is that if the king is here, that's a draw. But king is cut off completely, so he can't do anything. I don't even need this pawn here for a win, because this is a famous position which is called Lucina, and we are making a bridge. But apparently my opponent resigned here. He can't do anything. If he come here back or something, I'm gonna move my king here and promote. If he give me check here, I'm gonna make king g7 and promote. That's it. This is over. He resigned. The funny story around the moves here, when we were playing rook a1 or something like that, in this moment my opponent stopped writing the moves. I understand he's old guy, and all respect to him and his ability to write and play at the same time that fast. But it was not correct for me to once I play the move, he was immediately blitzing out the move. He's not even writing the move, and I was completely distracted by that thing, that he's literally playing with me blitz while I even write the moves and having long time on clock. So this was funny story. I called the arbiter, and the arbiter said to him that he needs to write a move. Then he took my score sheet. I mean, apparently he cannot read my score sheet. He doesn't speak English properly, and also, when you're in time scramble, you're just just signaturing something quickly, just to not waste so much time on that and not get distracted. And later on, he managed to write again, but I didn't want to win on the on this how that's called, forfeit, because I like to win in the style. I knew that this is most possibly a draw, but he did it a lot times in this endgame, and I just didn't want to call the arbiter and said he make illegal move, he's not writing. I think that's bad, but if it's that the only way to win, you can choose that. So I thought that I will win anyway. I just need the concentration and focus, and that's why I did this, call the arbiter, because I was distracted. So yeah, that's it for today. Now it's already 1 in the morning. Tomorrow morning is actually in the 8 hours is the next round. I'm playing on the first board, a grandmaster from France. So yeah, I'm so tired. I'm gonna take some rest, and I'm gonna see you next week. Yeah, bye bye.